Lieutenant He-Jin Park stood at attention in the Earth Defense Force's main conference room. His dark blue uniform felt too tight around his neck as he watched the alien delegates enter. This was humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Council, and something seemed very wrong. The three alien representatives wore thick protective suits. They moved carefully, as if afraid the floor might break under their feet. Their breathing equipment made loud hissing sounds with each step. "Why are you not wearing protective gear?" asked the tallest alien. Its voice came through a translator device, sounding confused and worried. He-Jin looked down at his simple uniform. "This is our standard dress uniform, Council Representative. We were told this room was set up to be comfortable for all species." The aliens looked at each other. Their large eyes blinked rapidly behind their protective visors. "Comfortable." The second alien moved forward. "The gravity in this room is set to Earth normal. It should be crushing you." He-Jin tried not to smile. This wasn't the first time he'd heard aliens talk about Earth's gravity. "Our species evolved under these conditions. This is normal for us." The third alien, who had been checking readings on a device, suddenly made a high-pitched sound. "The oxygen levels. They're at Earth standard." "Yes," He-Jin said calmly. "Is there a problem?" "Problem." The first alien's voice rose sharply. "You're standing in a room filled with oxidizing poison, under crushing gravity, at temperatures that should freeze your cellular structure." He-Jin felt confused. The room was at a pleasant 20 degrees Celsius. The air was clean and fresh. Everything seemed perfectly normal to him. The aliens began talking quickly among themselves in their own language. Their translator devices caught only pieces of their conversation. Impossible survival. Natural Deathworld species. Genetic engineering. He-Jin cleared his throat. "Representatives, I assure you we are a natural species. Earth is our home world. These are the conditions we live in every day." The tallest alien turned back to him. "Lieutenant Park, are you saying your entire species lives in these conditions, not just military personnel?" "Yes," He-Jin replied. "Our children play in parks under this gravity. Our elderly rest in homes with this oxygen level. This is normal for us." The aliens went silent. Their suits made soft whirring sounds as they processed this information. "Lieutenant," the second alien said finally, "we need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. Your world, Earth, it matches the description of every death world we have classified in our database. But you're not just surviving here. You're thriving." He-Jin felt pride fill his chest, but he kept his face professional. "We would be happy to share information about our adaptation to Earth's conditions." The third alien stepped forward. "You don't understand, Lieutenant. We have found many death worlds, but never sentient life on them. The conditions are too extreme. Yet here you are, building civilizations, creating technology, reaching for the stars, all while living in conditions that would kill most known species within minutes." He-Jin watched as the aliens huddled together again, their protective suits clicking as they moved. He thought about all the stories he'd read about first contact. None of them had mentioned anything like this. None had suggested that Earth itself would be the biggest surprise to alien visitors. "Representatives," he said carefully, "perhaps we should focus on establishing diplomatic relations. We have much to learn from each other." The aliens turned back to him. "Yes," the first one said. "Yes, we have much to learn. But Lieutenant Park, you should know. This changes everything. Your existence changes our understanding of life itself." As He-Jin prepared to respond, alarms began blaring in the alien suits. Their devices flashed with red lights. "What's wrong?" He-Jin asked, concerned. "Nothing is wrong," the second alien replied, its voice filled with wonder. "Our sensors are just confirming what we couldn't believe. You, Lieutenant Park, are standing in conditions that our best environmental suits can barely protect against, and you're doing it in a dress uniform." He-Jin smiled slightly. First contact was definitely not going as expected. But maybe, he thought, that was a good thing. Dr. Jai Yun Lee sat in her laboratory, studying the data files the Galactic Council had shared. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had expected to spend her time learning about alien life forms. Instead, she found herself looking at what seemed to be copies of Earth. The screen in front of her showed images of various planets classified as Deathworlds by the Council. Each one made her frown deeper. This can't be right, she said to herself, pushing her glasses up. She picked up her cup of tea, then set it down without drinking. The data was too interesting to take a break. A knock on her door made her look up. "Come in," she called. Jin Park entered, still wearing his Earth Defense Force uniform. "Dr. Lee, have you found anything interesting in the Council's files?" Jai Yun nodded, pointing to her screen. "Lieutenant Park, look at this planet. The Council calls it Deathworld 147. It has Earth's exact gravity, the same atmospheric pressure, even the same types of plants." Jin leaned closer to the screen. "That could be a coincidence, right? One planet. Yes, but look at these others." Jai Yun pressed some buttons, showing more images. "Deathworld 23 has our exact ocean composition. Deathworld 89 has similar animal life. Every single Deathworld they found matches some aspect of Earth perfectly." Jin pulled up a chair. "What are you saying, Doctor?" Jai Yun took a deep breath. "I'm saying these aren't different planets. They can't be. The matches are too perfect." She pulled up another image. "Look at this one. It has dinosaur fossils identical to ours. Not similar, identical." "How is that possible?" Jin asked, his voice quiet. "I don't know yet." Jai Yun stood up and walked to her whiteboard. She began drawing circles, connecting them with lines. "But I have a theory. These worlds aren't copies of Earth. They're not similar planets. They're Earth itself, somehow existing in different places at the same time." Jin watched her draw. "Different times of Earth? You mean like our planet's history, spread out across space?" Jai Yun finished. "This one with the dinosaurs. It's Earth during the Cretaceous period. The one with the high oxygen levels and giant insects. That's Earth during the Carboniferous period." She turned back to her computer and pulled up more files. "The Council has been finding Earth over and over, but they don't realize it. They're seeing our planet at different points in its history, somehow scattered across the galaxy." Jin stood up suddenly. "We need to tell the Council about this." "Wait," Jai Yun held up her hand. "We need to be sure first. If I'm right, this is bigger than just finding some similar planets. This means something has happened to time itself around Earth, something that made copies of our planet from different eras." She looked at her drawings again. "And there's something else, something that worries me." "What is it?" Jin asked. "If these are really different versions of Earth existing at the same time." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Then anything that happens to one of them could affect all of them, including our Earth, right now." Jin's face grew serious. "You mean if something happened to one of these other Earths, it could change our whole history," Jai Yun finished, "or erase it completely." They both stared at the screen, watching as images of different Earths scrolled past. Each one was familiar yet different, like looking at old photos of a friend. "What do we do now?" Jin asked. Jai Yun turned to him, her face determined. "First, we need to confirm my theory. Then we need to figure out how this happened. And most importantly," she looked back at the images of Earth's past scattered across space, "we need to make sure all these versions of Earth stay safe, because they're not just other planets. They're our history, our past, our story, and we need to protect them." Jin nodded slowly. "I'll inform Command. They need to know what we're dealing with." As he left the laboratory, Jai Yun returned to her data. She had a feeling she had only scratched the surface of this mystery, and somewhere out there, Multiple versions of Earth were waiting to be understood and protected. Commander Do-hyun Kim stood at the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Horizon, looking at the strange planet below. This was the third Deathworld his team had visited in 2 weeks. Each visit made Dr. Lee's theory seem more likely. Status report, he called to his crew. Atmosphere matches Earth during the Ice Age, Commander, responded his science officer. Temperature is -20 degrees Celsius at the equator. Do-hyun nodded, just like their briefing had said. He turned to the large screen showing the planet's surface. Vast sheets of ice covered most of the land, exactly like Earth during its last major ice age. Prepare the landing shuttle, he ordered. Full environmental suits, even though we can probably survive down there. His team moved quickly to follow his orders. They had become efficient after their previous landings. Each mission followed the same pattern. Land, collect samples, take readings, and look for anything unusual. 20 minutes later, Do-hyun led his team out of the shuttle onto the frozen surface. The ice crunched under their boots. Despite the suits, they could feel the bitter cold. "Commander, over here," called one of his team members. "You need to see this." Do-hyun walked carefully across the ice. His teammate pointed to something frozen in the glacier. Through the clear ice, they could see the remains of an ancient human settlement. "Take pictures," Do-hyun ordered, "and mark these coordinates." He touched his communication device. "Command, this is Commander Kim. We found more evidence supporting Dr. Lee's theory. This isn't just a similar planet. This is Earth during the Ice Age." He looked around at the frozen landscape. Somewhere in this galaxy, another team was exploring a version of Earth from the age of dinosaurs. Another was studying Earth when it was young and covered in lava. All existing at the same time, spread across space like pages torn from a history book. "Sir," another team member called out, "our instruments are picking up something strange. There's some kind of energy reading coming from beneath the ice." Do-hyun checked his own instruments. The reading was unlike anything they had seen before. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. Could this be what's causing the temporal displacement? He wondered aloud. "Command, we're going to need drilling equipment. There's something under this ice that might explain why Earth exists in multiple places." As his team set up their equipment, Do-hyun looked up at the sky. It was the same sky he knew from Earth, but the stars were in different positions. This was their past, somehow still existing, still alive. The drilling began, cutting through ancient ice that had formed when humans were just beginning to build tools. Every few meters, they took readings. The energy signal grew stronger. "Commander," his science officer reported, "the energy signature matches readings from the other Deathworlds we visited. Each one has a similar source, just hidden in different ways. Under ice here, in deep caves on the dinosaur Earth, beneath the oceans on another." Do-hyun felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. So all these versions of Earth are connected. They're being held in place by something. He paused, thinking. Or maybe they're being pulled apart by something. His communication device buzzed. "Commander Kim," Dr. Lee's voice came through clearly despite being light years away. "Your readings match my predictions. These aren't natural formations. Something or someone has deliberately spread Earth's timeline across space." Do-hyun looked at the ancient human settlement frozen in the glacier, then at the drilling site where they might find answers. "The question is, Dr. Lee, did they do it to preserve Earth's history or to destroy it?" As his team continued their work, Do-hyun couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. Somewhere in the galaxy, all of Earth's past was waiting to be either saved or lost forever. And the answer might lie beneath this ancient ice. Scientist Ah-Rae-yoon stared at her computer screen in the temporal physics lab. The numbers and patterns she saw there told an impossible story. She had been working for 3 days straight, trying to understand the energy readings Commander Kim's team had found. "The math doesn't lie," she said softly, checking her calculations for the 10th time. She reached for her phone and called Dr. Lee. "Jae-yun, I figured it out," Era said when Dr. Lee answered. You need to come to my lab right now." 20 minutes later, Dr. Lee and Lieutenant Park stood in Aira's lab, looking at her complex diagrams spread across 3 large screens. "See these energy patterns?" Aira pointed to waves of light moving across one screen. "They're temporal fractures, but they're not random. They're organized, following Earth's own historical timeline." She pressed a button, and a new image appeared. It showed Earth's timeline as a long line, but with multiple breaks and splits. "Something happened about 10 million years ago," Aira explained. "A massive temporal event. It didn't just crack time. It copied entire periods of Earth's history and scattered them across space." "But why didn't we notice this before?" Hajin asked. Aira smiled. "Because it happened before humans existed. By the time we evolved, this was already normal. The copies were already out there." She switched to another screen. "But look at this. Each copy is connected to our Earth by these energy streams. They're like anchors in time." Jai-Yun leaned closer to the screen. "The energy readings Commander Kim found." "Exactly." Aira nodded. "Each copy of Earth has one. They're what keep the copies stable, prevent them from collapsing back into our timeline." She brought up more data. "But here's the interesting part. These copies aren't just sitting there. They're helping us, protecting us. Each version of Earth is handling a different part of our planet's memory, like backup drives for Earth's history." "Protecting us from what?" Hajin asked. Aira's face became serious. "From time itself. Earth's history is incredibly complex. All the mass extinctions, climate changes, evolutionary jumps. It's almost too much for one timeline to hold. These copies spread out the load, make it stable." She showed them a simulation. "Think of it like this. If you try to save too many files on one computer, it crashes. But if you spread those files across many computers, everything works fine. These copies of Earth are doing the same thing with our history." "So, whoever did this," Jai-Yun paused, thinking, "they were trying to help us." "I think so." Aira nodded. "But there's a problem." She showed them another set of readings. "The anchors are weakening. The copies are starting to drift. If they drift too far, or if something happens to disrupt them, we could lose our history," Hajin finished. "All of it. Worse." Aira pointed to her final diagram. "We could lose our present too. Our Earth, right now, is connected to all these other versions. If they fall, we fall. Everything we are, everything we've built, it would all disappear." The room fell silent as they considered this. Outside Aira's lab window, they could see people walking, cars moving, birds flying, all existing because of a complex web of time that someone or something had created to protect Earth's history. "We need to tell Commander Kim," Jai-Yun said finally. "His team needs to know what they're really looking for out there." Aira nodded, already reaching for her communication device. "We need to find a way to stabilize these anchors. And we need to do it soon. Because if we don't..." She looked at her screens, showing Earth's fractured timeline. "We might not just lose our past. We might lose everything." Ambassador Sun Woo Choi stood before the Galactic Council in their great meeting chamber. 200 alien species watched him from their seats, all wearing protective suits against what they considered the deadly Earth normal conditions. The evidence he was about to present would change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. "Honored council members," Sun Woo began, his voice steady. "What I am about to show you will seem impossible, but our scientists have confirmed it beyond doubt." He gestured, and the first hologram appeared above the council floor. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue. Then, one by one, images of the classified Deathworlds appeared beside it. Whispers filled the chamber as the aliens recognized the planets they had marked as too dangerous to approach. "These are not different worlds," Sun Woo said clearly. "They are all Earth. They are our planet as it existed at different points in its history, somehow spread across space and time." The chamber erupted in noise. Some council members stood up, Others called out in their native languages. The council leader raised all four of their hands for silence. Ambassador Choi. The leader spoke through their translator. What you suggest is beyond belief. How can one planet exist in multiple places at once? Sun Wu nodded to his assistant, who sent the council members the data from Era's research. The evidence is in your devices now. Our temporal physics expert, scientist Yoon, has discovered that these worlds are connected by energy anchors. They are like backup copies of Earth's history, preserving our planet's timeline. He showed them Commander Kim's findings next. Our exploration teams have found these energy anchors on every version of Earth. They are not natural formations. Someone, or something, created this system to protect Earth's history. One council member stood up. Protect it from what? From time itself, Sun Wu explained. Earth's history is uniquely complex. The many mass extinctions, climate changes, and evolutionary leaps created a timeline too complex for a single world to maintain. These copies spread out that burden, making our history stable. He paused, letting this sink in. This is why humans can survive in what you call Deathworld conditions. We evolved through all of these environments. Our bodies remember every stage of Earth's development, from the high oxygen atmospheres of the past to the ice ages of our recent history. The council leader leaned forward. If what you say is true, Ambassador, then humans are not just Deathworld survivors. You are the product of every extreme environment we have discovered. Yes, Sun Wu agreed. And now we face a crisis. The energy anchors holding these temporal copies in place are weakening. If they fail, we won't just lose the copies. We could lose Earth itself, past and present. The chamber went silent. Sun Wu could see the council members looking at their data screens, reading the evidence his team had gathered. We ask for the council's help, he continued. Earth's multiple existence is not a threat to the galaxy. It is a natural defense mechanism, created by someone who understood the importance of preserving our world's history. Help us protect these worlds, and we will share everything we learn about temporal physics and planetary development. The council leader stood. Ambassador Choi, what you have shown us today changes our understanding of not just Earth, but of time itself. The council will need to discuss this in detail. Sun Wu bowed slightly. Of course, but please remember, time is not on our side. Every moment we delay puts all versions of Earth at greater risk. As he left the council chamber, Sun Wu hoped they would make the right choice. Humanity had learned they were not just living on a death world. They were living on the original death world, the planet that had shaped them through millions of years of extreme conditions. Now they just had to keep all those versions of their home safe. Security Chief Myra Song walked quickly through the dimly lit corridors of Earth's galactic embassy. Her dark uniform blended with the shadows as she made her way to the secure communications room. It was 3 a.m, Earth time, but what she had just discovered couldn't wait until morning. The room's security scanner confirmed her identity, and the heavy door slid open. Inside, she activated the encrypted communication line to Earth Defense Force headquarters. "This is Security Chief Song," she said into the communicator. "Priority 1 alert. I need to speak with Commander Kim and Ambassador Choi immediately." While she waited, Mei looked at the data on her tablet again. Her security team had intercepted messages between several alien groups, and what they found was deeply troubling. The screen lit up, showing Commander Kim's face. Ambassador Choi joined the call moments later. "What's the emergency, Security Chief?" Du Hyun asked, looking worried. Mei took a deep breath. "We've uncovered a plot against the temporal Earths. Several alien groups are planning to destroy them." She sent them the translated messages. These groups believe the multiple Earths are too dangerous to exist. They think having one planet exist in many places breaks the natural laws of the universe. "How do they plan to do this?" Sun Wu asked, his diplomatic calm showing cracks of concern. "They've developed weapons designed to disrupt the temporal anchors," Mei explained. "They plan to attack all the Earth copies at once, believing this will force them to collapse back into a single timeline. Do-hyun's face grew dark. They don't understand. According to scientist Yoon's research, destroying the anchors won't merge the timelines. It will erase them completely. Exactly, Mayray agreed. If they succeed, they won't just destroy the copies. They'll erase Earth's entire history. Our present Earth might disappear too, taking humanity with it. She showed them more data. We've identified 3 main groups involved in the plot. They're gathering ships near these coordinates. A star map appeared on their screens, showing red dots where the enemy ships were collecting. How much time do we have? Sunwoo asked. Mayray checked her information. Based on their communications, they plan to attack in less than 48 hours. They're waiting for their full fleet to arrive. Have they gone through any official channels? Sunwoo questioned. The Galactic Council. No. Mayray shook her head. They're acting independently because they know the Council is still debating what to do about Earth's situation. These groups think they're saving the galaxy by removing what they see as a dangerous anomaly. Do-hyun straightened in his chair. We need to protect all versions of Earth at once. But our fleet isn't large enough to defend every location. I have a thought about that, Mayray said. These groups are afraid of Earth normal conditions, right? They consider them deadly. What if we use that to our advantage? She explained her plan quickly. The others listened carefully, occasionally nodding. It's risky, Sunwoo said when she finished. But it might be our best option. I'll contact Earth Command immediately, Do-hyun agreed. We'll need every ship we can get, and we'll need scientist Yoon's help to make this work. Mayray looked at the star map again, at all the points where Earth existed in space. Somewhere out there, enemy ships were gathering to destroy humanity's past, present, and future. But they had forgotten one important thing. Humans had evolved through every deadly condition their planet had ever experienced. They were about to learn why attacking a Deathworld was a very bad idea. Dr. Jae-yun Lee and Lieutenant Hae-jin Park stood in the control room of Earth's temporal research facility. Around them, screens showed different versions of Earth scattered across the galaxy. Each one was now protected by Earth Defense Force ships, their crews ready to defend their planet's history. The temporal anchors are at 60% strength and falling, Jae-yun reported, watching the readings. We need to stabilize them now, or we'll lose everything. Hae-jin nodded, remembering how far they had come since that first meeting with the alien representatives. Scientist Yoon's device is ready. Are you sure this will work? It has to, Jae-yun replied. She looked at the central screen, where Ara's invention waited. It was a massive ring-shaped machine, floating in space near their Earth. Energy pulses moved through it like waves in a pond. All ships report ready. Commander Kim's voice came through the communication system. The enemy fleet is holding position just outside the temporal zones. Jae-yun took a deep breath. Begin the sequence, she ordered. The ring-shaped device started to spin. Energy flowed from it toward each version of Earth, following the paths of the weakened temporal anchors. On the screens, they could see the energy reaching each Earth copy, creating a web of light across space. The aliens are moving. Security Chief Song's voice called out. They're launching their weapons. But Jae-yun smiled. The enemy ship's weapons, designed to break the temporal anchors, hit the new energy web instead. Instead of destroying it, they made it stronger. It's working exactly as scientist Yoon predicted, Jae-yun explained to Hae-jin. Their weapons are designed to disrupt temporal energy, but her device turns that disruption into reinforcement. They're actually helping us stabilize the timeline. On the screens, they could see the enemy ships trying to retreat. The Earth normal conditions their weapons had released were too much for their protective systems. Temporal anchor strength increasing, Jae-yun reported. 70%, 80%, 90%. She paused, watching the final numbers appear. 100%. The anchors are stable. Hae-jin let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. We did it. All versions of Earth are safe. More than safe, Jai-Yun said. The new energy web doesn't just protect the temporal copies, it connects them. Now we can learn from every period of Earth's history directly. The communication system came alive with reports from Earth ships around the galaxy. The enemy fleet had retreated completely. The temporal copies of Earth were secure, each one protected by both technology and the humans who had evolved to survive their conditions. The Galactic Council is calling, Hejin said, checking another screen. They want to know everything about how we did this. Jai-Yun nodded. We'll tell them, and we'll help them understand that Earth's multiple existence isn't a danger to the galaxy. It's a gift, a library of our planet's history, preserved across space and time. She looked at the screens showing all the versions of their home. We're not just survivors of a death world, she said quietly. We're guardians of Earth's entire timeline. Every harsh condition, every challenging environment, they're all part of who we are. Hejin smiled, remembering those first alien visitors who had been so shocked by Earth's conditions. Maybe that's why those temporal copies were created in the first place, not just to preserve our history, but to remind us of our strength, and to show the galaxy that what they call a death world, Jai-Yun added, we call home. Together, they watched the energy web shimmer between the many versions of Earth, connecting past and present, preserving their history, and promising a future where humanity's unique relationship with their challenging planet would help protect and guide the galaxy.